Devy Planet, welcome to another episode of the Devy Planet. I am SC with my two co-hosts. I am Spencer at Buckwild Sports, co-host of the Devy Planet, and Tom Harvey, co-host of Devy DJs, which happens every Monday. And today we're going over the top college games in football and players you should watch after our intro.
Welcome to the Devy Planet. The Devy Planet. The Devy Planet.
Devy Planet, I am SC Romero with my co-host of the Devy Planet, Spencer at Buckwild Sports, and then my co-host of the Devy DJs live every Monday, Tom Harvey. Spencer, how are you doing today on this fine Saturday morning?
Doing good, man. It's a beautiful day here. Got some good football. That cold weather football starting to come up. So
Yeah.
feeling it. How are you doing today, man?
Doing well, man. Doing well. We got some good games going on as we're getting towards the end of the season. A lot of things matter, right? When it comes to the win, some teams need to win out. Some just need to hold their place. Tommy, speaking of cold weather, I know it was a little colder for you this past week. But how are you doing today?
Yeah, I mean, it's back in the 60s today, so it's
Nice.
it's pretty nice. It's snowing on Monday, back in the 60s today. So,
All melted snow, or is the style just stuck?
it's stuck in certain places. About 2 hours north of me, where I had to drive up to on Monday, it was sticking on the ground. But when I got back home, it was kind of all just kind of melted away, just kind of blowing all over the place.
Oh, there you go. Well, hopefully everyone's traveling safe when they're in the snow there and enjoying that cold weather as well. 'Tis the season, and maybe you'll be able to build some snowmen outside pretty soon. But let's get into today's.
I hate that crap.
You gotta build a sculpture of 101 Fernando Mendoza after he wins, or maybe Joey Aguilar. Maybe you'll do Joey Aguilar.
That's right. That's right.
But speaking of 101, Fernando Mendoza has Indiana at 10-0 right now. They're number 2 in the country, leading the Big Ten. Actually, no, excuse me, Ohio State's number 1, so they're leading the Big Ten. But they play Wisconsin 3-6. My question here is, when it comes to the rookie drafts, Fernando Mendoza's arguably the top Heisman winner candidate right now. Arguably going to be potentially the 101 in the NFL draft. But I'm seeing some mocks. Shout out our guys at the Devy Dojo that do a lot of mocks. Fernando Mendoza's not going 101 in the rookie drafts, though. Tommy, I'm going to lead to you because we had an episode about does the Heisman make a difference. If he wins the Heisman and wins a national championship, is he the 101 or would you lean somewhere else?
You talk about in rookie drafts or the NFL
rookie
drafts?
If he's the 101 in the NFL draft and wins the Heisman, does he become the 101 in rookie drafts?
No, because I mean, I think you're looking at value at running back and wide receiver there also with Jeremiah Love and Justice Haynes, and then wide receiver you got Mekhi Lemon, you got Cornell Tate, Jordan Tyson. I think it's very possible he could end up sliding to 104, 105.
Yeah.
Just depending. Also, kind of depends on landing spot. With some of these guys too. If Fernando Mendoza goes 101, but he's going to sit behind Dylan Gabriel for a year in Cleveland or something, or whatever.
Right.
Justin Fields for a year in New York.
Right.
However they're going to play it. Whatever.
Right.
Also, if he goes to a bad situation like New York,
right.
and ends up just being the starter from day one.
Right.
But has really nothing really around him. Is he really your 101 pick, or are you looking at him just more as kind of a future play?
For sure. Spencer, I know you've been a part of some of those mocks. I mean, do you agree with that, or is the positional players? We could even say it's super flex, right? So you can start 2 quarterbacks. Does the positional players, those tiers, make the difference? Like I feel the quarterback tiers are kind of bundled up right now, where you have set tiers for the top wide receivers, running back. So does that make a difference when you're choosing the 101 in rookie drafts?
Yeah, I mean, I think it does, and honestly, I think looking at who Mendoza is also makes a difference to me. Like I think that Fernando Mendoza is probably a better real life quarterback for an NFL team that picks him than a fantasy quarterback for us. He's sort of in that like Jared Goff kind of molds where he's not going to get you anything on the ground, so he needs to have a ton of production through the air, and it probably won't be consistent for you week to week. Like a fine QB2, but is that really what you're looking for in the top half of your rookie drafts? Like, is that going to push your team that wasn't doing great last year to be a team that does better going forward, or does that just elevate your floor? Like, are you just now
Right.
you were 101 this year, now you're going to be 104 next year because you had a
Right.
quarterback too. Like I think that's really when I'm looking at Fernando Mendoza and the type of prospect he is. Like that's what I'm trying to consider is he seems more like a round out prospect, like a good quarterback 3 for your championship team.
Yeah.
Right.
That's sort of his ceiling to me.
And also, just because he's taken 101 in the NFL draft doesn't necessarily mean he's the 101 fantasy QB.
Yeah. Sure.
You're looking at guys like Ty Simpson and Dante Moore who have considerable more mobile ability and potential than what Fernando Mendoza has. So you're looking at especially a Ty Simpson who is very mobile. He could potentially be the QB1 in dynasty drafts, right? So
Right.
it all depends on you have to look at their overall body of ability, not
Sure.
not hey, this guy's the first pick in the NFL draft, so he's automatically your rookie 101.
For sure. Yeah, and that's I joked in one of the Discord channels. Don't forget if you are tuning in to join our Discord. A lot of good content going on there. We have a Devy channel, we have a trade channel, we have a start sit channel, even a Scott Fishbowl channel. But join there, a lot of great communication in there as well. But with that as well, I had the 101 in the league, and I randomly dropped facts about Fernando Mendoza just to try to get the hype up there to say I'm taking him. I don't plan to, but kind of just get sway the league off to say, oh yeah, he's going 101, so that way they think they got their guy at 102, and it's not happening. Probably taking love there. But yeah, Fernando Mendoza looks good. I think it's a great college thing, great college story for him to do it. We'll see what happens in the playoffs though, because that could change a lot. Next game though on the next list, number 3, Texas A&M is at home against South Carolina, who is 3-6. Now this is an interesting one because I really still see that a lot of people go both ways. Some are saying Lenora Sellers is staying in college. Some are saying he's going to come out because the hype is there. Let's say Lenora Sellers comes out. A lot of people have him as one of the top quarterbacks in the class or the prospects. Does that change? Does he become a first-round pick, or has he not done enough? Spencer, I know this is one of your guys, so I'm going to ask you about Lenora Sellers here, about what he is, and does that make an impact?
I think it'd be a big mistake for him to come out. Like again, I think he's put some good stuff on tape this year, and like he is clearly like trying to do way more for South Carolina than South Carolina is capable of doing. But like mechanically, he's there. The fundamentals are kind of there. Like he's a much more polished player than say an Anthony Richardson or a Trey Lance was a few years ago, but he still needs to show success at a consistent level. That obviously we all know hasn't happened this year. That said, the raw tools, like if he comes out and kind of can sit in a program, like I'd be really happy to take him in the first round of my rookie drafts because he has that Konami code, type of quarterback in him. Right. And he still is, again, a much more polished passer and player than, some of these other quarterbacks that have come out. It's the processing that I think he needs to work on. It is hard to learn that at the next level. We see Justin Fields, that's probably been his biggest struggle, is that he's a slow processor, and it is killed him consistently, and he's never actually improved on it. Like that's why Justin Fields hasn't worked out. It's not that he can't throw the football. It's not that he isn't electric when he runs with it. It's that he doesn't read the field fast enough for the NFL level.
Yeah,
so
I mean,
that's sort of like the concern, but I think that the upside is worth taking, and I'd be open to taking him.
Yeah, we put him behind. That's if he goes to Indianapolis, who failed Anthony Richardson, but it looks like it's the golden piece for Daniel Jones, right? I think it was the great JFK that said, ask not what your country could do for you, but what you could do for your country. I think right now he needs to ask what can South Carolina do for him, because right now it hasn't been anything, right? And it's not what can he do for South Carolina, because he does have the talent, but hasn't really been put on tape there. Does winning this game, if he goes out here and looks great, does that change anything for you, Tommy, on Lenora Sellers?
No, I mean, I said it at the beginning of the season that South Carolina and that South Carolina was the most overrated team in the country, and Lenora Sellers is probably the most overrated player in the country. Mm-hmm. He has raw ability, but at some point he's going to have to show that ability is progressing, and to me, he's not showing much of anything. Now, granted that it's probably because South Carolina has nothing for him to be able to utilize out there.
Yeah.
They're, I mean, offensively they're completely strapped. They got nothing. They have nothing out there to be able to be able to utilize. Nick
Right.
Harbor is a straight downfield wide receiver, but outside of him, they have no threats offensively. And to me, it just doesn't seem like he knows when to throw the ball or when he knows when to run.
Yeah.
He kind of switches those two. Like when he's supposed to throw the ball, he runs. When he's supposed to run, he throws it, and it just
Right.
doesn't look right.
No, I agree 100% on that. With him, I'm at this point kind of off on him. At least where he's going, I'd rather take another quarterback later, or try to get a positional player. But he still definitely has the raw talent. On the flip side, Le'Veon Moss potentially coming out, or he is coming out. I do believe he's eligible. He will be. What are your thoughts on him? Here, this running back class isn't as deep, but there are some dart throws later on. Is Le'Veon Moss worth the dart throw there, Tommy?
Late, probably fourth round type of draft pick, in my opinion.
Yeah.
I don't think he's going to give
Rookie draft pick or NFL draft?
Rookie draft pick.
Okay.
I don't think he's going to get the NFL draft capital for it.
Right.
For one, he may end up being an undrafted free agent, honestly. And guys I don't like taking are guys that've shown that they've been often injured, and he's shown that he's often injured. I don't like taking running backs in that type of position.
Fair. Now, Spencer, if you need, we'll talk about Le'Veon, by all means, go ahead. But I want to pivot to the next game, which is number 9 Notre Dame at 7-2 versus number 22 Pittsburgh, who is also 7-2. Just because we're on the running back talks, Jeremiah Love, arguably the 101. I think the only other potential people that will be talked about there is maybe Jordan Tyson, maybe Mekhi Lemon, but I think Jeremiah Love has a firm grasp on it. But his counterpart, Jadarian Price, could potentially come out, could also stay. We recently had a show this past Wednesday where you kind of talked about him. But if he comes out this year, let's say he does, because we know about the running back landscape in the NFL. When you have a productive season, chances are it's better for you to come out if you're eligible than stay another year. Hence Nicholas Singleton, right? If he comes out, where are you comfortable taking Jadarian Price when it comes to our rookie drafts?
Honestly, I see maybe a back end of the first, early part of the second for him. He's a very talented back. He's extremely it's almost like the old Penn State backfield with Miles Sanders and Saquon Barkley. Jeremiah Love is the Saquon Barkley of this group. Now, I don't think he's a generational talent like Saquon was, but he's that high, maybe first round NFL pick, whereas Jadarian Price is a second round pick, and he's just playing behind a guy who's just a little bit better than him. But he is an awesome talent, and he's really shown out this year. He was good last year, but he's really shown out this year. That quick first step, that burst through the hole, he makes the right reads, and it is sharp to cut. I think he's a very talented running back in his own right, and honestly, I probably would have him in the top 5 running backs of this class coming out. So back into the first, early part of the second, if he finds a great landing spot and the NFL takes him in the high second, I could see him moving into the mid first. Honestly, the running back is pretty fluid this year based on the landing spots and draft capital.
So, Tommy, we're gonna unless you have anything to say about Pittsburgh, maybe you want to talk about Eli Holston. I don't know, but when we talk when we talk about the, how I feel about that. We had a sad show this past Monday when I had to speak about him. But that's kind of pivot to the next game too, and kind of jumbled it in because Michigan number 18 also 7-2 taking on Northwestern 5-4, who has played some good defense this year. He just said, Jadarian Price back into the first, early second. We just talked about Jeremiah Love, the 101. The other running backs in that category that could potentially go before Jadarian Price or potentially after, Justice Hayes out of Michigan and Jonah Coleman out of Washington. But is there a world where you could see people taking Jadarian Price over Justice Hayes, or is it a clear gap there between those guys?
I think there's a little bit of a gap there, but I am like Spencer. I do think Jadarian Price could be a back end of the first, early second round pick, depending on landing spot. I think the top 3 are pretty clear with Love and Haynes and Coleman. Then after that, I think Jadarian Price could be that number 4 guy. You're looking at him and Katron Allen probably being 4 or 5.
Okay.
My opinion. I know there's probably a couple other guys who could probably push into that top five, but as of right now, those would be my top five guys.
Okay, fair. Michigan's looking good too, as I mentioned, 7-2, number 18. They're trying to push their way up, see what they can do in the Big Ten. Definitely going to a bowl game though. Bryce Underwood's looking, a freshman, right? But he's still looking nice. He's just 7-2 record's not bad. Another 7-2 team though, number 24, South Florida versus Navy, 7-2. Byron Brown, I think he's nice. I don't think he's necessarily gonna be Devy assets as far as that next level. He may get a shot here and there, but I don't think he's gonna be anything worth the franchise. Even Blake Horvath, I don't necessarily see much there. Is there anyone in this game that really screams Devy for you that you're like, we should try to target them, or at least a rookie value when it comes to South Florida and Navy there, Tommy?
I mean, Byron Brown, depending on landing spot, late in the draft, like late fourth round type of draft pick. Just has a complete flyer. I think he's a good running quarterback. I don't think he has a great throwing motion. A little bit slow, but as far as his throwing movement, and that doesn't translate very well to the NFL.
Okay, fair. Spencer, any thoughts on that, or is this just a good college game?
No, this is a good college game. It's tough with especially like the service academies to find anybody who can jump out of there and be impactful. And as Tommy said, like I agree, South Florida, Byron Brown is somewhat interesting. Late, is kind of he's going to be a backup quarterback. So who is he backing up? Can you insulate your own value there? Because he'll probably be good. Somebody like Haynes King, he'll probably be pretty solid if he gets an opportunity for your fantasy team to put up a spot, 18, 19 points maybe.
Right.
But he's never actually going to be like an NFL starting quarterback consistently.
Yeah, and let's not forget that with the service academies, they also have a service commitment after they've left there. So unless they get some type of waiver to be able to play in the NFL, so you're not really going to reach out and grab any of those guys because you don't really know if they're going to get that waiver granted, even if they're a high profile type of player. But for Navy, if they have one, I would say maybe Eli Heidenreich possibly. Maybe it's kind of like that type of H-back type of player. But yeah, other than that, you're not really reaching out for those types of guys.
That waiver changes if they transfer out, I assume. For example, was it Arizona State?
Kanye Udo.
Yeah.
So that like Paul Skeens in the MLB got his waiver because he transferred over.
Yeah, does he probably go to the Yankees? Is that really happening?
No, it's not happening. I would love it, but it's not happening.
That's crazy if he does. Just buy their ship, right?
If Pittsburgh trades him, they better get a haul for him. I mean, he's
7
top
first-round picks.
He's a top 2 or 3 pitcher in the entire MLB. So
yeah. Speaking of top 2 or 3, Arizona number 63 faces number 25 Cincinnati. Reason why I said top 2 or 3 because Tommy, your guy Brendan Sorsby out at Cincinnati is going against Arizona. Talk to us about him because he, potentially coming out but could also stay. But is he a first round quarterback in our rookie drafts?
If he comes out, I believe he is. He has the prototypical NFL body, 6'3", about 225. He's a really good physical runner. Reminds me a lot of Josh Allen whenever he runs the ball. But he has an absolute cannon for an arm to make every throw on the field, and he makes really good decisions. You look at him right now. I think he's only thrown 1 interception so far this year. He's just he's very good with the ball. He's protective of it. And he just trucks people whenever he runs. To me, he should be considered a first round NFL quarterback. Even if he comes out this year, if he comes back another year, he's in the running for QB1 of the next draft.
Okay. Love it there. I mean, speaking of potentially QB1, we're going to, again, just kind of pivoting here. Brendan Sorsby, if you will, speak about his Spencer by all means. But the next game is Oklahoma, number 11, 7-2 versus Alabama, 8-1, who's number 4. 2 quarterbacks that could potentially be looked at as QB1s, and John Machir and Ty Simpson. How is this battle looking at for you today?
Yeah, this is an interesting one. And I'll touch briefly on Sorsby because I do think it's worth talking about. And Like I think that he's kind of under the radar right now. He's more of a second round quarterback to me. I think if he came out this year, like just early day two, team is going to take a shot, kind of like your Tyler Shuck, your Drew Lock, like that group of player. But the physical tools are very tantalizing, so I do like that call out. And who knows, pre-draft process, he could get pushed up
Right.
if he shows out. But on this game, this is an interesting. It's a battle because there's another guy I think is a day two guy in John Mateer here who he's been struggling since he came back with the hand to consistently throw the ball. And you kind of think about Russell Wilson with his hand injury. It's a very similar kind of mechanism. Is my understanding here,
Mhm.
and Russ really never came back from that.
Mhm.
And I'm kind of worried about Mateer with already kind of having shaky and consistent mechanics.
Mhm.
Is this something that's going to linger kind of going forward for him? And are we ever going to see early season Mateer again? But on the other hand, Ty Simpson, as Tommy alluded to earlier, mobile quarterback, not a true like dual threat, but more of like a backfield improviser who can get you 200, 300 yards on the ground at the next level. But he's just been playing out of his mind since that FSU game, as we talked about, and he just continues to do it. I think if he goes out and wins this game, kind of handedly beats Mateer, it sort of really hurts Mateer. But I think that there's all the upside in the world for Simpson. And I know we're talking quarterbacks, but I just want to touch on Isaac Satanga over at Oklahoma, taking over that wide receiver role. I think he's an interesting Devy asset that we need to keep an eye on.
For sure. Yeah, good quarterback or quarterback at wide receiver there. We talk about Ty Simpson, John Mateer. But I mean, you want to bring up wide receivers. Tommy, talk to us about Jerry Bernard because he's leading Alabama right now with 605 yards. He has 41 receptions and 6 touchdowns. Obviously, Ryan Williams is there. Ryan Williams still top prospects, looks very fluid, right? Potentially the next Devontae Smith, just in his fluidity and what he does in his routes. But Jerry Bernard really making a name for himself so much that you're seeing some mocks push him up into the first round of NFL draft. So my question to you is, if he gets, and not even if he gets first round capital, let's just say he gets top 45 picks, right, in the NFL, is that worth the first round wide receiver, or are you think the community is a little bit too bullish on him right now?
He is. It's kind of a difficult question because for one, you do have probably 3 to 5 receivers in front of him,
Mm-hmm.
depending if you like Denzel Boston and Chris Browse more than him or not.
I do like Denzel Boston more for sure.
Yeah. So I mean, you're probably looking at him as being your wide receiver 5 or 6.
Okay.
But it's a very wide receiver heavy draft in that regard.
Mm-hmm.
So not only that, but it's also a pretty QB light draft.
Mm-hmm.
So you may only be looking at just a couple of QBs going in your first round. So,
Right.
It's kind of a difficult question. Also, kind of depends on landing spot. If he goes somewhere where it's a pass heavy type of offense, then I can see where he could be, where it could be argued he is a first round type of player. But if he goes somewhere where they got 2 receivers ahead of him,
Mm-hmm.
he's not going to be right. So
Sure.
I do think he has a very nice NFL style game. He's a very physical receiver, doesn't mind running over people.
Mm-hmm.
Doesn't mind fighting through contact. Doesn't mind going across the middle for the ball. Doesn't mind being a gadget guy either.
Right.
He's the type of guy who could take a jet sweep. He's the type of guy you could even do a wide receiver pass to.
Right.
A former high school quarterback who has shown that so far at Alabama.
Right.
So he has a lot of abilities. But again, it all depends on kind of landing spot for, especially when you're looking at wide receivers and running backs, landing spot
Mm-hmm.
matters.
Right.
System matters for those guys. But yeah, I mean, I can see the argument for him to be a background of the first type of guy, or a first part of the second type of player.
So, Spencer, I want to ask you just to say which player you'd rather have, Khalil Shakir or Jeremy Bernard.
That's probably Jeremy Bernard, but they're very similar to me.
Okay. Jerry Bernard or Parker Washington?
Jeremy Bernard, just because Parker Washington's going to be only this year, really.
Okay. Jerry Bernard or Michael Pittman?
Definitely Pittman.
Okay. Fair. I think we're gonna get into some tiers like that when it comes down to the rookie draft. So people possibly trading away some guys that have big seasons, and possibly try to get that first. So you might be hitting that Jerry Bernard landscape of a late first if you are able to get that out of him, right? So it'll be interesting to see, what he comes out his draft stock, and that could definitely influence what he's doing, especially when you have some running backs that may go later day two, just because again how the NFL sees the running back landscape. You might take that shot on the running receivers taken early. Jerry Bernard could be one of those guys. Next, UCF number at 4-5 versus Texas Tech, who's 6-1. Texas Tech coming off a big win this past week against BYU, 9-1 right now. Brendan Morton, looking nice. Any thoughts on Texas Tech? I know there's IDP guy you like here, but is there any hope of taking Brendan Morton or even Caleb Douglas, who leads the receiving room for Texas Tech? Tommy?
No, I think you're more looking at the running back room. They got three guys who are potential NFL backs, and one of them hadn't played it all this season. So I mean, you got three guys there who could who are potential NFL backs. Quentin Martin, who obviously has been out.
Joyner.
Yep. Quentin Martin up at Penn State. Quentin Joyner, and then you got Cameron Dickey, you got Jacoby Williams. Williams is more of a smaller guy, whereas Dickey and Joyner are probably more of your prototypical type of backs. But I think all three of them have NFL potential. And then at their tight end spot, he's a little bit smaller, but he has potential to be kind of that type of fullback type of player in the NFL. A receiving fullback at that.
Right. Now, Spencer, with Brendan Morton, last year he had a over 3,000 yard season, 27 touchdowns, 8 interceptions. This year, definitely taking a downfall. But again, with the quarterback landscape in this draft being so shaken up, based on what we thought in the preseason, is there any shot that you're taking on Brendan Morton? If so, where is that?
No, I mean, I'm probably not taking a shot here. He doesn't really offer anything with his legs. The arm is he just seems like good college quarterback to me, and I kind of hope he can stick around as long as he possibly can. I'm not sure about his eligibility if it's out this year, if he's got another year after that, but he's a solid college guy, but without anything on the ground, it's really hard to bet on just sort of average passers. It's maybe he's like a third stringer.
Yeah, that's where DJ Lagway needs to transfer to, by the way.
There you go.
That'd be a great spot for him. Yeah.
That'd be amazing. And maybe he's from Texas, so Lubbock's probably about good 6 to 8 hours away, from where he's originally from, but still he's from Texas, so could go back home. But so next game here, NC State 5-4. Shout out my girl Noah Rogers, who hasn't done anything. And then Miami, number 15, 7-2 as well. Carson Beck, I said this is a guy you don't overthink it with time comes, because he's not going to go on your first, but maybe that second round, you may be able to get something out of him. But I want to talk about Hollywood Sputters and Malachi Tony, two guys that before the season happened, I don't feel there's a lot of chatter about them in the Devy community, but have really taken the season by storm, right? Hollywood Sputters, 825 yards, 6 touchdowns, missed last week, right? Malachi Tony, 54 receptions, 644 yards, and 3 touchdowns. Spencer, I'll let you start first. Out of these two, which one are you most excited for as a Devy prospect?
Definitely Malachi Tony. I think that honestly, I think there's an argument that after this year, Malachi Tony is maybe like the 2028 wide receiver 1 and possibly a top 10 Devy asset overall. I mean, he's just looked awesome. He's getting downfield. He's doing stuff after the catch. He has some freshman sort of like disappearing acts on occasion, but he doesn't. I don't think he has a drop yet this year either. Like, he's just been so sure-handed, so reliable, and kind of can do a little bit of everything all over the field. Smothers is a very kind of like interesting running back prospect, but the size and whatnot, like I don't think that you're going to quite see the draft capital you want. He's going to be probably your second round guy. Malachi Tony could be someone we're taking in the top 5 rookie drafts come 2028.
Okay. So, I mean, I'm going to pivot to you, Tommy, because if Hollywood, we always again with the right back landscape, you have a great season, you might want to come out and not push your luck, right? Hollywood Smothers is eligible, so if he comes out this season, where is he ranking amongst Devy against the rookie running backs? Like, is he one in that top 5 category, or is he just outside of that?
No, I don't even know if he's top 10 category, honestly.
No?
I think I think the depth of the running back position is pretty solid. I, you may not have that those great elite high end running backs there.
Last year's class.
Yeah, but um, I think you could probably get through 10 plus guys without seeing Hollywood Smothers' name there. But as far as Malachi Tony, I do like him as a player. And I'll have to do a deeper dive into kind of what his game by game looks like.
For Miami.
But his his overall ADOT's not very good. It's like 5.1. And that's really, really bad. Especially whenever you're looking at elite wide receivers, his ADOT's not very good at all. So I mean, I'll have to kind of look and see what his game by game is as far as if it's improved over the season, or if it's just kind of stayed steady. If it's a steady 5.1, then I'm probably out on him. If it's an improvement, like if you started off at like a 3 or whatever, and now it's kind of improved over the season,
right?
I'll have to take a deeper dive into that. But if he's a steady 5.1 ADOT, I'm out.
That's a good point to bring up, but then that also comes into the factor of watching that all 22 and seeing, is that Malachi Toley, or is it just Carson Beck not finding him when he is deeper down the field, right, and seeing what he's doing when the ball's not getting to him as well?
No, that's true too.
Carson Beck hates throwing downfield, so
that's true too. That's true too. But again, I have to see a major improvement on his ADOT over the next couple of years to really be more invested in him.
And the good thing is it's exciting to see him because as a true freshman again. So we did talk once about within the freshman class and so on. It's really popped off. Right now Miami's been the team where quarterbacks are going there and having almost a transcendent season. I say that because Beck really isn't doing that, but there's opportunity, right? So maybe he gets a Sam event, maybe he gets the lower sellers. One of these guys go there, kind of change up some things as well. It'll be interesting. Speaking of ACC, though, we're gonna move on with Georgia Tech at 8-1, 16 overall against Boston College, 1-9. Haynes King, Jamal Hayes, right? The Rivers, right? Is that Eric Rivers. Georgia Tech definitely has some nice college assets. Are there any of these guys, though? I keep saying that you like, RJ Harvey, Jamal Hayes, so you need to watch out for as well. But is there anyone within Georgia Tech here, Spencer, that you're going to take a shot on during your rookie draft? Not necessarily first overall, just so that you're like, if they're there late second, maybe third round, I'll take a shot. Is there anyone there for you?
I mean, honestly, this is just me. Haynes King, I'm probably taking a shot on because I love the guy. Do I think he's going to be a starting quarterback at the NFL level? Probably not. I don't think he's quite got the arm strength for it, or the processing. But he's such a dog. Like we see guys in the NFL. Sometimes they break through just because they have that dog mentality, like leader of men. Like I don't think Jalen Hurts is the best passer. He's not the most athletic rusher. He doesn't always make the right reads, but what kind of like elevates him is he elevates everyone around him because he brings that alpha mentality to a room, and he has enough all around game that he can make it work. Right. And he's obviously improved since he's gotten to the NFL as a passer. He's improved, like especially that deep ball is good, which Haynes King doesn't quite have. But I could see him kind of eventually maybe breaking through because he is such a leader that a coach wants to believe in him. But at the very least, in your third round, he's a guy that I would love to see backing up a guy, and I'm going to take a shot just in case he gets a play because he is a special runner. It's not he's the fastest, it's not he's the biggest, it's that he's willing to do it. Sort of like what we saw Jackson Dart doing with the Giants this year. We're like, is Jackson Dart the most athletic guy in the backfield? No. But what is he going to do? He's going to put it on the line. He's going to go out there and, go as hard as he can to hit the edge and get those extra yards. And that's Haynes King.
Right.
So would you rather have Haynes King or Diego Pavia?
I'd rather have Haynes King just because Pavia – I don't know. I'm not really sold on Pavia at the next level, but I can see I see like that's a very similar tier.
Pavia is a little bit smaller, right, than Haynes King. Well, he's smaller as far as height, but I think he's a little bit bigger as far as his frame.
Better
Uh,
passer also.
Yeah.
Pavia,
Yeah.
that would be an interesting one because I could see a world where they get taken very close in the draft, and then it becomes like a pick your poison because they both have that grit when it comes to their putting their head down, just going out there and putting in work.
Yeah, they both kind of remind me of what was the quarterback who played for the 49ers? I
When
I'm literally blanking on his name. This is
not
like 15 years ago, 15 20 years ago.
not Kaepernick.
No, he was a smaller guy. Um, what was his name?
Hold on, because we're gonna find this out.
Yeah,
For you.
I'm going to have to find this out because those two guys remind me a lot of him. Man,
Yeah. And what I'll say for Haynes King, he does have prototypical size. You know, he's 6'3", 215.
Jeff Garcia.
Jeff Garcia, there we go.
Okay.
And he has proven to be an accurate passer. You know, he's over 70% completion 2 years in a row. But I agree, like he's not pushing it downfield. He's not kind of consistent. Like, you know, he's never going to have a 3,000-yard passing season, although he almost did in 2023. So what am I talking about here? But I think he's like a very, like, he'll be a high-end backup, and a team is going to fall in love with him.
I think him and Pavia are both quarterbacks where it's like I don't want to take the shot on them because I don't see a starting role right out the gate. But they're also the quarterback where I feel if they get the starting job due to injury or something happening, that they're like not giving it back because they're just gonna show some traits that's like they just have this like grit and dog to them where it's like and maybe they'll give it back right the following season because they're fifth round quarterback pick and the team gets quarterback in the first next year or whatever. But for that season, I feel like they wouldn't necessarily give it back just because they have that, like you said, the leadership and that dog mentality in both of them as well.
Yeah, they're like the heart and soul of the team type of players.
Right.
Yeah.
So definitely, get the team behind them.
Sorry, let's move. At the very least, it's fun to root for on your roster. Like when they get a chance, and that's really probably why I'll be taking a shot. Honestly, like
right
when he's in there, I'm going to be like Haynes King going to give it to you.
Right. And then they're going to put up 20, 25 points, but it's because they got 2 rushing touchdowns that threw for 185 yards and a touchdown, right? Something like that. Let's move forward though. Iowa 6-3, number 21 versus USC 7-2. Maeva, King Miller, Makai Lemon. Tommy, I'm gonna ask you this because Lobi and Spencer kind of talked about it before, but is wide receiver you possibly USC as well? I mean, it sounds like they're pumping out some solid wide receivers, right? I mean, you have Ohio State, we've had LSU, but a lot of people don't talk about USC. Do we need to talk about USC about being a wide receiver U type of school?
Like a poor man's Ohio State and LSU, I guess. I don't think they're not nearly on that level. Pumping out wide receiver one after wide receiver one after wide receiver one. But yeah, they put out some good ones.
In recent years,
recent years, Amon-Ra St. Brown and Michael Pittman, and now you got Makai Lemon and Jacoby Lane coming out. Yeah, I mean they put out some good ones, but they're not on that same level as Ohio State and LSU are.
Fair. Spencer, King Miller, I mean, he's quickly rising. Is he you talked about earlier the running back I'm drawing a blank on
Jordan,
but is he rising the Devy boards, King Miller?
I mean, I think he has to with how he's been playing, like even just on a statistical standpoint. Like I haven't seen too much of King Miller because I've avoided watching USC because I was sad about Wayman Jordan being gone. And then, King Miller is honestly, he's outperformed what Wayman Jordan was doing. So it's interesting. Like this is one, this and Louisville are two backfields. Like I was talking in the Dojo Discord yesterday. Like I want to kind of dive into the backfields there because the backups are playing just as well, if not better, than the starting running backs that we were excited about in Isaac Brown in Louisville and Wayman Jordan here at USC, respectfully. So, like, it's sort of, do they just have really talented backups, or is the system making these guys look better than they actually are? Sure. So that's where I got to dive in with King Miller, but he has played out of his mind. He's been excellent. So there's no doubt. I think he needs to be on radars now, and he's a good story. So it's always fun to follow.
Now, Tommy, you can again talk about the USC Iowa if you want, but I will move forward with the next game as well. Virginia 8-2, number 19 versus Duke 5-4. Darian Mensah, I mentioned he was one of my top 15 quarterbacks right now in Devy. Do we need to be watching more of him? By 24 touchdowns, 4 interceptions. This is at Duke, so it's ACC. There is some competition there, but again, it's at Duke. Last quarterback that was taking top pick from Duke was Daniel Jones. Is this gonna be something next, or is he gonna be better than what Jones was? I mean, Jones was what, a top 5 pick, I think. So
They're completely different players. Daniel Jones is much more of a mobile guy, whereas Mensah is going to be your kind of your pocket guy. May scramble out a little bit, but he's not looking to run the way Daniel Jones does.
right.
If he's smart, which he probably is going to Duke, um, he should stay for the remainder of his eligibility. I mean,
Yeah,
they're paying him a ton of money.
for sure.
So he would be smart to kind of stay with that money and then exhaust his eligibility and then go to the NFL, in my opinion.
Welcome in, Jamie. Thanks for joining us here on the Devy Planet. Yeah, no, I agree. I think there's, with what they're paying him again, it was over 10 million with the NIL. I do believe we're at 10. He definitely stayed, get that money. Then if you go pro, man, by all means. Now, move forward. New Mexico State 3-6 versus Tennessee 6-3. You did, Jamie. How dare you? No, I'm just kidding, man. But we're still talking some good college ball, so tune in. But this is a big one. You brought up Chris Braswell earlier, Tommy. I know Tennessee's your team. I want to hear from Spencer as far as Chris Braswell. 49 receptions, 808 yards, 8 touchdowns. Not necessarily the BTJ type of season, but I've been starting to say Chris Braswell was potentially what the BTJ was last year. Because a lot of rookie drafts last year, BTJ was falling to the end of the first. Braswell could possibly fit that mold, and then if he gets in that same similar role of what BTJ did year one, we could see kind of a blow up from a rookie that can stretch the field, but also has a good route running. What are your thoughts on Braswell?
Brazel's a tricky one for me because I really want to like him more than I do, if that makes sense. Like I see he's a pretty good route runner, especially for his size. He's a monster of a man at 6'5", 210. He's fast. But it's like a consistency problem with him that I've sort of like it just is preventing me from fully buying in. But that said, I think that when you're looking at this year's wide receiver crop, Brazel has sort of the highest upside to be that BTJ type of player. Like he's, where Jeremy Bernard maybe represents like a safety kind of play, like a guy who can do it all, but maybe isn't going to break your week. Chris Brazel is a guy who can break your week and help you win that championship, win that big game against a high caliber opponent. Like that's Brazel. So it is tricky. Like he's one I really need to dive into the all 22 coming up and see why I'm having trouble with the consistency when I watch him. But I will say, like, Tennessee has used him in a way, like, unlike some of the other Tennessee wide receivers we've seen, he is getting deployed in different ways. It's not Jalen Hyatt running the seam up the middle. It's not Cedric Tillman doing, an out left or an in right. He's doing a little bit more.
Right.
So that's sort of where I'm starting to buy in a little bit more compared to, our Tennessee wide receivers of the past.
For sure. Tommy, it's Tennessee as your team, so if you would like to talk about them, by all means. But I am going to watch our next game here as well because Florida's 3-6. Season's done over. You talked about DJ Lagway needs to transfer to Texas Tech, but they're playing Ole Miss, who's number 7 overall, 9-1. I just want to do a quote real quick because you messaged me the other day. You said this has nothing to do with the game, but it kind of pivots off to it. You said, "Man, what are we going to do when Cam Coleman's transfers to Ohio State and pairs with Jeremiah Smith next season?" You kind of blew my mind with that question. But I replied, though, what are we going to do when Dallas Wilson transfers to Oregon? You talked about Florida, losing DJ Lagway potentially. Their season's kind of up. We know Dallas Wilson transfer there because they kind of recruited that. But there's a lot of things that could go on in Florida.
Mhm.
Is it possible two of their top prospects in DJ Lagway and Dallas Wilson both transfer out this year, or do you think one ends up staying? Again, if you want to talk about Tennessee, by all means, and then if you want to hit on that Cam Coleman thought, by all means.
Well, with Florida, it's really going to depend on what their coaching situation looks like. If they go out and they hire Lane Kiffin, then yeah, I mean,
Right. Might as well stay.
Lagway and Wilson would be crazy to leave, right?
Right.
Um,
And then
but
Jaded Ball, maybe.
yeah. But if they whiff on Kiffin and they end up hiring, some second tier coach, because I mean they put all their eggs in this Lane Kiffin basket at this point.
They hired Brian Dabble.
Yeah, right. But say they say they hire like Kenny Dillingham or something. It's like that's not nearly the same type of cachet.
Right.
So I could definitely see something some type of exodus from Florida from their top players if they don't get the coach that they want.
I will say guarantee, but I'm sure Lanny's looking at Florida like they just fired their coach. Let's make sure we get Dallas Wilson's number back up here, and if they end up
Right.
not getting the coach, let's contact him again, right?
Mm-hmm.
Now I do want to bring this up just because, and I'll let you answer this question. Tommy, JB asked, Brazil, is he similar to Ted McMillan?
Kinda, I guess. I think he's a little bit taller, but yeah, I mean, you were kind of talking about his inconsistency a little bit. He has had games where his production's dipped, but that's kind of where teams have started double teaming him a little bit. Because if you've noticed lately, Mike Matthews and Braylon Staley's numbers have jumped up since Brazel's have kind of started to go down a little bit. That's because they're bracketing Brazel a lot now, which they weren't doing at the beginning of the season. So, but I mean, I could see Brazel being similar to a Ted McMillan, sure.
Excuse me.
I think he's faster than Ted McMillan, and I don't think he's as physical as Ted McMillan is. But as far as the way you're probably going to utilize him, probably pretty similar, I would guess. Yeah.
I'm glad you brought him up. Go ahead.
No, I mean, I think he's like that physicality point. Like Ted McMillan is sort of the guy that in double coverage, you can throw it up to him, he'll come down with it. Brazel is a much better separator than Ted McMillan was. Like that's the main difference in their game. But they have very similar kind of like the tall guy who can make it happen after the catch. Like very similar in that regard. But I think that physicality is what separates Ted from Brazel.
And I'm glad you brought it up because you brought up Braylon Staley, freshman, 6', 190. I recently took him 201 in the Devy draft that we did. Is he someone that needs to be talked about more? I mean, we're talking about Malachi Tony, but no one's really talking about Braylon Staley.
Yeah, Braylon Staley, he's a redshirt freshman, so he is a second year player. But yeah, I mean, he's a guy that he's going to put up massive production as the slot receiver there in that Tennessee offense. So I mean, he's what they wanted Squirrel White to be that Squirrel White never became.
Yeah, for sure.
So yeah, I mean, I think Braylon Staley should definitely be taken seriously, especially over the next couple seasons. Whenever you're looking at a new you got another new QB next year, whether it's going to be George McIntyre or Faison Brandon, or whether they bring in another transfer guy for a year, it's still going to be another new quarterback for him to have to get used to. So if he continues to put up similar production next year, and even the year after, then yeah, I think you have to take him seriously.
Now, I do want to hit on this because he's been balling out here. Trinidad Chambliss out of Ole Miss, 6'1", 200 pounds. I don't believe he has another year of eligibility. I think he has to get out. Yeah. Thoughts on him? I mean, 13 touchdowns, 2 interceptions, 2,356 yards. Hasn't started all season, but has better numbers than some QBs that have started all season. What are our thoughts on him? I mean, with this quarterback class kind of being, in the void, in a sense of what we thought were top prospects. Not someone recently said Garrett Lusmar may be undrafted, and I'm like, okay, that's where we're at now, right? But with that, we have quarterbacks like Trinidad Chambliss jump in those ranks. Does he do anything for us, or is it like I mean, it's just gonna have to be team takes a shot at him and maybe I like it. Spencer, I'll start with you about Chambliss.
Yeah, I struggle to see how he I was kind of big like maybe if he goes out and really balls, then maybe he breaks into that first round conversation. But the tools just aren't quite there that I think he can actually do that. I think he's probably more of a third round guy, a fourth round guy. The size just is going to be a concern for some teams.
Right.
Sort of like he's a solid dual threat, but he's not the fastest, and doesn't have the strongest arm. So like, where is the path for NFL success for Chambliss? I think it's in that backup role. He reminds me a lot of Tyler Huntley. Like if I was gonna, he's the next Snoop is kind of what I see for him, but he's actually gonna get drafted, and he'll have a good career. He'll make some money at the NFL level. He certainly made some money for him this year because he was nowhere near the NFL draft board, I think, coming into
Right.
this year, and now he's got it. So
Sure.
it's good for him, but I think that's probably where he peaks.
Shout out, we're at the top of the hour. Some games are kicking off. We have 4 more games we're going to fully cover for y'all here. But Ty, before we do, I want to ask you this question. I'm going to ask you a few names. Just tell you which one you rather have. Q1 Lacey or Travis Etienne?
Q1 Lacey.
Q1 Lacey or Bo Jackson?
Q1 Lacey.
Q1 Lacey or just try to throw it out. Woody Marks.
Q1 Lacey. I'm going to put it to you this way. I've got Q1 Lacey as my RB3 in Devy.
Fair. Okay.
So,
So he's
yeah.
Q1
So
Lacey or Saquon Barkley?
Saquon.
Okay.
Yeah, but
in
well,
Dynasty. In Dynasty, that's crazy.
In Dynasty, that's kind of a question there because Saquon is 29 years old.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's fading a little bit this year.
Yeah. So I mean, you're looking at longevity there. I mean, if you're talking a 1 year, just kind of shot, if you're looking at a championship team, then maybe Saquon. But if you're looking long term, looking to rebuild, you may lean Q1 Lacey.
I'd say even if you win and you get 112, 110, whatever your league is, and
Mhm.
so it's like I'll give you this, give me Q1 Lacey, and you can have Saquon here, maybe, right? And you still have that pick. I don't know, but yeah,
I mean,
because
Q1 Lacey's he's really really good.
yeah,
He's kind of came out of nowhere this year. You know, a lot of people, including you,
Mhm.
had Ahmad Hardy as kind of being that breakout guy, and he has
Mhm.
been. But Q1 Lacey has kind of come out of nowhere,
Right.
and is rivaling him.
I will say when we had our, I don't know if it was with Spencer or with Utah, but when we had our show, I did say Q1 Lacey was going to take over that backfield over Logan Diggs. I think it was everyone there, right? It's crazy that both of them kind of broke out because Q1 Lacey transferred from Missouri. So it took Q1 Lacey transferred out for Ahmad Hardy to get that role, and they're both balling out, right? So it's awesome to see.
It's going to be a battle next year to see who that RB1 is for that next draft.
Oh, yeah. Okay. So good talk there. So Q1 Lacey, top of the board there. Q1 Lacey or Devin Chain?
Q1 Lacey. Q1 Lacey.
Yeah, I need to talk to say.
I like Devin Achane whenever he's on the field. He's just not on the field enough for me. Even though he may have played 16 or 17 games last year, he still came out of a lot of them early. He gets banged around and he's undersized. That's like saying Q1 Lacey or Isaac Brown to me because I think Isaac Brown and Devin Achane are almost the same type of dude.
Fair, love it. That would be super interesting sauce. Q1 Lacey rising those boards there. Now, let's move on. Those 7-2 Utah at 13 versus Baylor 5-4. Another quarterback that's not a winning record, and winning does matter, to get that capital. But Sawyer Robinson, 2,780 yards, 26 touchdowns, 7 interceptions. Is he someone that is going to be, taken at the top of the back end of the first, or is he someone that's more likely the second round? Spencer, what do you think?
I think he's more likely in the second round. It's like he's shown a lot of good this year, but he's also shown a lot of bad. Like 17 turnover worthy plays on the year, the completion percentage only 62.7. Like that's the type of stuff that I sort of you start to get a little bit worried about. Sort of like, is he just a little too much of a gunslinger? And not taking the easy stuff, but the tools are there. I think a team is going to absolutely take a shot on him day 2, because he has the big arm. He's got enough mobility. He's no one's going to mistake him for Lamar Jackson, but he's also maybe in that like Justin Herbert type of mold of quarterback. I think is a very similar way to how he plays. Just nobody is Justin Herbert. He's probably the best passer in the NFL, honestly. Just as a passer, and
it's because he's from QBU.
Yeah, exactly. He's from QBU. You joke, but
just kidding. But seriously,
yeah. But no, I mean, I think that it's sort of like he's got that big arm. A team is going to want to take a shot on him, and he's got the tools that. Why wouldn't you take a shot on him? Maybe you can help fix some of those flaws and coach him up, and he becomes a good NFL quarterback. But it just takes a little bit more than what I think a first round quarterback needs.
So yeah, I mean, teams winning is. It is a big deal, but when you look at the way that the team wins or loses, I mean, he's on a team where he's got to score 50 points a game in order to win. His defense is atrocious.
So
So I mean, you can't really put the losses on him.
mhm.
That's more his defense. I mean, he's putting up over 40 points a game. That's impressive. So to say, he's on a losing team, or with on a team that has, a
Four
lot of
losses.
losses, it's kind of not telling the whole story there.
Yeah, that's why we dive deeper into when it comes to the tape in the AL League. So that's why everyone should be following the Devy Planet and the FFU. Don't forget to subscribe for our viewers. And then the DJs, we're on the player profile now every Monday. We're also talking about Devy there as well. But Tommy, I do want to ask you this. In non-tight end premium leagues, how early are you taking Michael Trigg?
In non-tight end premium,
So I feel in tight end premium, he could be bumped up higher, right? But non-tight end premium, which I feel is still like a standard for him. How early do you take him as potentially tight end one?
early to mid second round. He's still the tight end one for me. But early to mid second round. I think him and Kenyon C could probably be right around that same range.
And then so tight end premium, they're bumped up to back of the first.
Yeah.
Okay, fair. Let's move on to our next one. As we have 3 games left here. UCLA 3-6 versus Ohio State 9-0, number 1 overall, leading the Big Ten, leading the country. What is there not to talk about Ohio State? Julian Say looks great. Bo Jackson looks phenomenal. Jeremiah Smith is him. Carnell Tate is looking great. So we could talk about Ohio State. I feel we've talked about them a lot, though. So I do want to pivot over to Tom Harvey. What are we going to do when Cam Coleman transfers to Ohio State?
Oh man, talk about unstoppable with him, and I mean because Cam Coleman's better than Carnell Tate, so talk about unstoppable with him and Jeremiah Smith, in that same room, Quincy Porter and Brandon Ennis and Mayan Graham, and it's just stupid. Bo Jackson and that offense would be stupid. That offense would be stupid.
Oh yeah, Dallas Wilson, right? Dallas Wilson. No, is it Dallas? No, wait, not Dallas Wilson Jr. Who's the
Chris Henry
Jr. Yeah. Just ridiculous.
It's an embarrassment of riches.
Yeah.
Max Clare has another year of eligibility, I think, too. So that would just be stupid.
At that point, just Devy draft. Doesn't matter where you're at in the draft. Just take the Ohio State.
Just take Ohio State. Yeah, take Ohio State.
Oh. So Jamie does have the question: does Ohio State win by more than 45 today? Right now, they are favored minus 34.5. So do they hit the 35 threshold here, Tommy? Because Nico used to be your boy.
He's not playing. Nico's not playing.
There you go.
Yeah.
So
they may win by 100.
Yeah. So
Ohio State can win by as many as they want to today.
So what it comes down to is if Cam Coleman transfers to Ohio State, just draft Ohio State guys and don't give that up there.
Ohio State's going to be the entire first round of the draft.
Yeah, just everyone. I mean, because they have a solid defense too, right? I'll ask you this, Spencer, because Bo Jackson obviously looks phenomenal as a freshman, right? 613 yards and 2 touchdowns. Does that mean we're out on James People?
Yeah, I got a decision to make in a C2C, the one that we're all in together, the big Devy Super, because he's sitting there. I've moved him to the taxi because I'm not ever using him. And I honestly, the only reason I'm holding him is because I think maybe there's a chance he transfers down and is very productive.
Yeah, the only chance he's got. He's what the 4th running back right now. He's been Isaiah West, isn't he?
Isaiah West has beat him out for RB3. So I mean, he's I think he's got to pull kind of like a Cam Cook, go to Jackson State. Jacksonville State and ball out, have a good college career, and fade off into the sunset. I mean, there's just not enough there with him. He doesn't have any power. He's not fast enough to be only a fast guy. Right. He doesn't catch the ball well enough to be like a scat back. He can't block. So sort of he's just not good enough to play at a program like Ohio State, which means I also don't think he's good enough to play at the NFL and be productive. So
transfer down to Ohio and then take over for whenever Sia Bangura leaves.
Yeah, never. Sia Bangura is going to play college until he's 45 years old.
He's got something.
He's like Hugh Jackman playing Wolverine. He's going to be Wolverine until he's 95.
Yeah, he's going to. Sia Bangura is going to transfer to. He's going to go back to the Big Ten. He's going to say, "Nope, let me go to Ohio again." Mm-hmm. That's the arc. He's been
somehow 5 and 12 more years of eligibility.
Yeah, I don't know how he's still there, man.
So Ohio State is a pipeline of great NFL prospects, as we're saying. Saying Jackson Smith, Carnell Tate, whoever transfers there, whoever plays there. Don't overthink it. Ohio State is a team. Take their guys. They have a great coaching system, a great system there in general. But a big game, probably game of the week here. Number 10 Texas at 7-2 plays number 5 Georgia 8-1 at Athens, which is in Georgia. I mean, Texas is going to Georgia to play the number 5 seed. Arch Manning, especially you've alluded to, we been over analyzing him, right? And I've said it too. It was either he has a Heisman season or he's bust. And right now it's a bust because it's not necessarily a Heisman season, but 2,123 yards, 18 touchdowns, 6 interceptions. Is because all right, there's rumor that he stays again, right?
Mhm.
But I do think the playoffs are different. Telling two cities. If he goes to the playoffs and they dominate, they win. I think there's a chance he comes out. What does it do for Arch Manning if he goes into Athens and wins?
I mean, I think he can flip the narrative on this season, honestly. Like, I think that's what this game represents because Texas, everyone has poo-pooed all over Texas. They're 7-2.
Right.
Like this is a team that's playing very well. They're ranked 10th in the country. Arch has really stepped up the second half of the year and been a much better quarterback. He's going through his progressions a lot quicker. He's making the right reads. He's more consistent with his ball placement and his footwork. I think that everyone saying Texas sucks allowed him to take a breath and really play his game. Going into Athens, if he could win this game, and all of a sudden Texas is probably back in your top 5 of your rankings,
right?
We're really talking about them as a national championship contender, and I think it can flip the narrative on what this year meant for Arch. This isn't Arch a bust year. This is an Arch developmental year, and he can, if you show that continual progression, that's exactly what you want to see from these guys. So I think that's what this represents.
So I want to flip that there for you, Tommy, because Arch, potentially comes out right. They have a great season, ends up winning. Let's talk about Ryan Wingo, because at the beginning it was like, what's happening here? But over the past 2 games, 5 receptions, 184 yards, 2 receptions, 89 yards, and 1 touchdown there. Really kind of turned it around for his season after kind of looking like he's out. The separation's not there, but that's just not his game, right? But he's the leading receiver in Texas right now. Are we back in on Ryan Wingo, or is it not obviously a lot of the top 5 conversation for the class, but is he back in the radar as far as okay, he's got his game back together?
I don't think so. With he has zero separation for a guy that has decent speed. And that you mentioned he had 2 catches for 89 yards and a touchdown. It was a 75-yard screenplay.
Yep.
So it's not like he beat somebody downfield. He literally caught a screen pass.
-4.
Yeah, he literally caught a screen pass and took it. So I mean, it's I have to see more actual wide receiver ability from him than I'm seeing right now. Just not seeing any. I mean, yeah, he's a physical receiver. With the speed he has, you would want separation from him. And he just has no separation ability. And at 6'2", it's not like he's 6'5" and is going to be able to go up on top of people and catch the ball like that.
Right.
He's 6'2", and going against corners who are taller, who are longer, and who have more length now than what they used to have. So 6'2" isn't what it used to be as a wide receiver.
Fair.
Yeah, and I mean, even he's only 2 for 9 on contested catches this year. He's not. His game is that after the catch, you get him the screen pass, you put him on an end around, and he can make some special things happen.
Mm-hmm.
He's barely at a 50% reception rate on the year.
Yeah. Okay. There. Are we in agreement though? Texas wins. That. Well, I think the SEC just goes crazy if Texas wins because that's going to be some chaos happening there. So, I mean, it'll be interesting to see. That's a big game. I'll definitely be tuning into that one. Another big game, a Big 12 one happening. TCU 6-3, our last game we're talking about here, versus BYU number 12, 8-1. Again, BYU just lost to Texas Tech. The Big 12 is clumped up. It's going to be nice to see. I've been on Bear Beckmeyer. I think he's looking solid. LJ Martin looking great. Y'all both know how I feel about Chase Roberts. On the flip side, Josh Hoover at TCU, Eric McAllister's there as well. Uh, Joshua Dwyer, Joshua or Jonathan, Joshua, uh,
Jonathan Dwyer.
Jonathan Dwyer,
Jordan Dwyer.
Jordan Dwyer.
Jordan Dwyer. There you go.
So there you go. I mean, it was a J.
We're both way off.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, but this is actually Tommy, you had alluded to, the Big 12 is probably the best quarterback conference that just doesn't get looked at. But at the same time, I mean, I like both Hoover and Beckmeyer. Are there any thoughts on these guys as quarterback, Tommy?
Bachmeier's a big dude, man. He's what, like 240 at least. And I was watching that Texas Tech game last weekend, and Herb Street said that somebody told him he was up to 260. I was like, my God, this guy's gonna be 3 bills by the time he's a junior. Like, and he's a decent runner.
Yeah.
So I mean, I think he needs to be looked at. Hoover is, he's on the smaller side. He reminds me, kind of like a Trinidad Chambliss, to where he's kind of this, that similar size to him, and doesn't really have the elite attributes. John Mateer is the same size also, but he at least has elite speed and can sling the ball, right?
Right.
I just don't really see that out of guys like Hoover and Chambliss. But Hoover does throw a nice ball. He's a little turnover prone. But with that size, I think he's kind of on the lower end of the quarterback tier for this draft.
Okay.
I do like Eric McAllister a lot, though. He's got good size, really good length, good speed, can get downfield. And outside of him kind of dealing with that injury earlier in the season, he's really put up a good year.
Yeah, they're both looking really nice. I think Beckmeyer, as a freshman coming in, is looking great. Especially, I've already talked about Chase Roberts, but LJ Martin, he had a fumbling issue in the past, but it looks like he got that put it together. Is he someone you could be talking about as a top 10 running back in this class?
Oh, absolutely, top 10, like for sure. He definitely belongs in that range. He looks, he's good. He's a one cut and power through a tackle guy. He's not going to make a lot of people miss outright. He's going to make people miss because they only get one arm on him, but he's a very good runner of the football. I think he probably has a role in the NFL. What that role is, maybe it's kind of what we wanted Roschon Johnson to be, that type of player, and where it's 500, 600 yards at the NFL level, but you're kind of hoping for 8 to 10 touchdowns, and he can do a little bit with the ball in his hands too. Like as a pass catcher, he's not a zero in that area. So, I think top 10 is very much. Yeah, I think it's honestly very likely at this point that that's where he falls.
Okay. I think I'm probably more in love with him. Yeah, Roschon, we're crying about that one because he was supposed to be the next big guy out of Texas there. Before we let y'all go, because that wraps up our games, of the week, the top 25 here, I want to pivot on someone because I recently hit the guy, NFL Big Draft Board, the guy, Deep Devy Dive, does fantastic content there. Make sure you're checking him out as well. But he talked about Robert Henry Jr. out of UTSA being a top RB in this class here. Robert Henry Jr., 5'9", 205, 982 yards all season, 9 touchdowns with 112 receiving yards and 2 touchdowns. Really started off with a great, season, 177 yards, 159, 144, 144. Taking a pivot, then had 138 yards, now 87 and 27. Tommy, I know you've hit on Robert Henry just a little bit, but what are your thoughts on him? Being from UTSA, they had the running back in the past in Sonoris McCormick, who's with the Raiders now. Is there a way that you're buying into Robert Henry? Probably a day 3 pick, right? Just again, running back landscape. That's probably how they view him. But are you taking a shot on Robert Henry and rookie draft at all?
Yeah, I mean, I think he's better than Kamani Vidal, and Kamani Vidal's getting a shot.
Okay.
So yeah, I mean, you're definitely looking at a guy like a Robert Henry, who's a depth piece for your roster.
Right.
He's probably not going to be drafted within the top 8 to 10 guys, but that doesn't mean he doesn't have that type of ability. I just think he's probably just less of a pedigree. Honestly, if you're wanting the running back sleeper of this class, it's probably Emmett Johnson at Nebraska.
Yeah.
I would like to see another 5 to 10 pounds on him, just to kind of put my mind at ease about durability issue. But yeah, I mean, I think Emmett Johnson is much more of a sleeper than anybody else in this, potentially in this class. He still has another year of eligibility. But I mean, he's second in the country in rushing, and is a really, really good receiving threat out of the backfield also.
So I'm gonna pivot over to learn sleeper, and then we'll let y'all go here. But Spencer, I asked him about Robert Henry. I will ask you about your Husky at the UConn, Skylar Bell. You know, leading right now, second in the nation in terms of yards, 1,081 yards off 85 receptions and 13 touchdowns. Is out of UConn, but honestly has good size, 6 foot, 185. I'm gonna dive into his tape, regardless, to dive in more. But have you been able to see anything out of Skylar Bell? Does he impress you enough to say, okay, this is a guy I could take later in drafts that I have some hope that he can fit something?
I want to, because UConn is my backyard. I mean,
right.
I went there for 7 years. It's right. But I just don't see an NFL player out of him, like not a consistent one. To me, he's sort of like a Jalen Naylor, what we see on the Vikings this year. Like, maybe that's the type of role he can carve out, where he's a wide receiver 3 who, when given an opportunity, can pop. But he's not the most explosive athlete. He's not, he runs good routes. Like, I think the highest end ceiling you have for him is a Jacoby Myers. And that's a very good player, but I don't see it actually panning out that way. Like, he's extremely good at UConn in the AAC. I'm hoping that this gets UConn into the ACC. Like, there's been a lot of chatter about that here. Like, we've been really pushing for it for a number of years. Pagano is, that's my Heisman baby. But I just don't see like Pagano isn't probably. Are we thinking about him as an NFL prospect? Not really. Like, I don't think his wide receiver 1 is an NFL prospect really either. UConn is just putting good football on the field this year. It's great to see. We've had, they go back to the UMass UConn Cum Bowl games. Like, that's what we've been dealing with. So we're finally showing out and actually doing something, and that's exciting. But I don't see an NFL player out of Skylar Bell.
I'm actually going to disagree with that a little bbit. I have Skylar Bell as a third round grade. NFL draft grade. Nice. I think he's going to be a really good, nice sit down zone receiver. Who's going to be able to find the find holes in the zone. That's the type of receiver I see him as a guy who's just going to be able to find a hole and just sit there and wait on the ball to find him.
I'm gonna be excited.
I would, and maybe I'm that anti-homerism playing right now. So I'd love that.
I'm gonna be excited to see Cooper Barkey and Skylar Bell, and then your Chase Roberts, see where they go there. It'll be fun to see. Just to when you hit out Kamani Vidal, Jay, want to let you know. To be fair, Kamani Vidal is a great nephew of Hank Aaron, so he has super athlete blood in his veins. So maybe that's why he gets a shot there. But that's all we have for y'all today on the Devy Game Day. We appreciate everyone joining in. Monday, Tom Harvey and I, we're talking our top 15 Devy running backs as we did our top 15 rankings before the season. We're doing our rankings again. So tune in, see who missed it, see who jumped up, see who's making the list in our new top 15. And on Wednesday, Spencer and I are doing guys we are out on in the 2026 class. So be sure to tune into that as the 2026 class is wrapping up, or at least we're getting more confident or more news on what our rookie picks will be. We're going to tell you some guys that are eligible that we are out on when it comes to it there. So a lot of things coming up for Devy content. All 3 of us are working on some great things. Thanks for joining, JB. As always, a pleasure having you on. We're working on some things behind the scenes where we're going to get some better ideas and better grades for y'all to give y'all different tier groups, different rankings. So stay tuned for that, as all of us are going to be working tirelessly to get this information out to y'all, make sure we produce even better content for y'all as well when it comes to the Devy community. For the Devy DJs, live every Monday. For the Devy Planet, live every Wednesday. We're the Devy guys. So, be sure to tune in, and everyone enjoy your college football and hope your team wins. But until next time, peace.
FFU.